Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. That's me, Krishi, and today I'm going to be starting a new set of series. So this is the JavaScript series. So in this series, we are going to be discussing the core concepts of JavaScript. Also, we're going to be making a little bit of programs and see how everything works. So yeah, let's just get into the video. And if you're new around my channel, please make sure that you have subscribed to this channel. Yeah, let's go. So JavaScript is a language, it's a very popular programming language, and it is actually used for making web pages, apps, games, and anything like that. So it is actually used to create the interface of it or the designing of it and the way it works. So that's the introduction of JavaScript. Let's just start up with the concepts. So the first concept which we have is console. Now, what is console? So actually console is present in your browser and it is used when you have an error. Now, if you're using your browser, let's say you have opened this website called YouTube. Yeah, you're watching this video on YouTube, right? So you have opened YouTube and you run. You just notice that there are a little bit of errors which are coming, like the videos are not loading properly, even though your net is proper, or the designing of the page is not working properly. The videos are just getting scrambled and stuff. So any such kind of error, you actually report it to Windows, but or your iOS one. When you report it to Windows, it actually goes to Windows console, and the complaint is being logged over there. Now, what is logged? Logged means when you note down something or when you pin down a part of information, it is said to be logged. Now here, if you want to print out anything using JavaScript, we use a console.log. So this is actually a method which is console.log. It's a console.log is a method, and in this method you can you can actually use this to print anything. Now let me just write, hi, I am facing an error. Now if I write this and I'm just going to print that out. So hey, I'm facing an error. That message goes straight away. But what if I just don't have these? So as you can see, there is an error. There's a syntax error over here. Like if you will note this thing, there's a syntax error. Okay, so what is the syntax? The syntax is a way in which you have to enter a particular code. Now, for example, this could be a syntax when you have like a method. Okay, for a function, I'm just going to tell you the syntax. So you have the function name, then you have the opening and closing brackets. Here. And inside this, you will have some parameters or arguments. And after this, you are going to just have the opening and closing curly braces, under which you're just going to write your statements. So that's how this is a syntax for a function, which means that this is a way you're going to write down a function. Now, in the same way, there is a way to write the console.log, which means that if you want to just print out anything using the console.log, when it is not defined in your code, you have to use these. Now, what do I mean when I say it is not defined in your code? Okay. Now let's just go next. We have, let's say, a variable named x, and the value of x is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Somewhere. Later on, if I print console.log, I'm gonna have my strings and I'm gonna print x. Now, if you guess, what is this gonna do? This is actually just gonna print x, but I just want the value of x. For such a case where x is defined in my program, I am just going to write down x simple, and that is going to give the value of x. The variable x can be anything. You can have integers, numbers, floating points, decimals. Then you can have a string as well. So I'm going to have a string, like hey, this is a string. And if I print X over here, I'm going to have, hey, this is a string. Note that when I have these quotations over here, it's not being printed. So yeah, that's about console. Now let's just look at our next topic. So now we're going to look at some other concepts. So let's just start with the first one. So the first one is our new one, which is comments. Comments is a very simple thing. Now, if I am writing a very, very long code, now, for example, I'm writing a 50, 60 lines of code, and I have other people who are reading this code. So I just need to explain them the code. Instead of that, we can use the comments. So comments are actually like, I can just write anything right here. So let me just explain something. Let's say, so here we are printing the value of X, which is 8932. So I'm just going to shorten this a little bit so that we can just see it. If X equals to 8. Okay. So now here I am actually going to make a variable which is X, and that's going to be equal to 8. And I'm going to print it console.log. So this one was an easy one so that you can understand it very properly. But in a case where we are making a really, really long code and you have to explain some hard sets of code, you can use the comments. Now, what if I have to explain a little bit more? Now, actually, as you saw, if I'm going a little bit more than here, as you see on the first screen, I am not able to see the ending part. For such a case, we can actually use a multi-line of these comments. So for the multi-lines one, as you can see, just making the multi-line code to start, everything goes in the comment. Okay. So this is the start. It's the start of a multi-line code. Whereas this one is the end of multi-line code. So that's how multiple line comments work. So you can have a single line one or a multiple line. But what is a comment? A comment is a set of statement which is actually ignored by the computer. Now, as you saw, I just print anything inside it. Now, let's say I'm printing something. Let's say I'm going to just print console.log, and I'm going to have this is not. I'm just going to print welcome back. Now here, as you can see, if I'm just going to click on run, I'm going to have welcome back. But whereas if I just add 2 of these slashes, I am not going to get any out. This is because the welcome back is now a comment. So that's how comment works. Now let's just look at a little bit of data types. So we have a little bit of data types. So we have number. So a number can be 2, 3, 4, or you can have multiple numbers together or something like that. Under the numbers, you can also have floating points which have decimals or decimal places. Okay, so I actually shifted that by mistake. So we have these. Then we also have strings. So what are strings? I typed down car. I'm really sorry. So we also have strings. Now strings are always enclosed under quotation marks, whether they be the single quotation marks or the double quotation marks, whatever it is. They are always enclosed under these quotations. So anything I write inside this would be a string. Even if I write these numbers, I am just going to have the consider them as string. I just didn't print them out, but let's just print that out to see what it is. So we have console.log, and I am going to print string. strc short form for string. So we have 67547. So yeah. Now the fact that I don't have to define the data type in JavaScript. Now, for example, I am just printing any variable, let's say x, and x is from the data type, let's say integers. So I don't actually have to do something like that, because data type, defining of a data type is not important. I can have anything under x, like I can have strings under x, or I can have any kind of like numbers and stuff. So I can just have any type of data under a variable, and I don't have to specify it. Now let's just move to the next concept. So the next one is the backslash and escape characters. So now let's just take an example. A variable string is equal to, we're gonna have these ones. So hey, so as you can notice something over here. For some places, we actually also use the quotations in our sentence. So like, let's have this one. I'm just going to write it without these. So let's say, my father. My father's. This becomes fathers, which is very common in the random or proper English. But using that in JavaScript is going to cause an error, because this part becomes a string and the rest is under other data types. So that is where we face problem. So if you have anything as such, there are two ways to escape it unless it's a string. So what I can use is, hey, I am. So one thing I can do is I can have double quotations, which is just going to ignore this single quotation. I just have to remove one. It's going to ignore the single quotation most probably. I didn't print that. Okay, console dot. I'm going to have console.log. Unless both of these quotations are same, it's not going to cause any problem. So it's hey, I am. And another way to escape this is using the back escape character. So what is an escape character? An escape character can be used so that we can just avoid the usage of quotation marks. And if you want to do something which is not much common, like let's say I just want to have a tab in between of my sentence. So I'm going to just have hey, and then I'm going to have the backslash t, which represents tab. And then I'm going to have how are you? When I print this, I must get a tab. As you can see, there's a space. Instead of tab, if I write a backslash and n, which is going to be new. So I'm going to have, hey, how are you? With this, as you see, I just get this thing. This is because there's a space over here. If I just remove that, there's not going to be a lot of difference. Just the space will be out. So that's going to be like, hey, how are you? And you can do many things with this. So with the previous example which we had, hey, I am. Earlier we were using the single quotations. And let's say here, I just want to have the single quotations itself. I don't want to have the double quotations for my personal choice or something. So what you can do is you can just use the backslash. So it's going to still print the same thing, which is, hey, I am. So that's not going to make a difference, because the backslash and a single quotation will not be counted as the quotation marks used in string. Now I can use this to actually also get double quotations. So here I am. That doesn't match the sentence, but yeah. Now, if I also want to have a backspace, so I can just have like that. And then I'm gonna have like, hey, again. We have the hey, and okay, what's that? So yeah guys, that is it for today's video. If you like the video, just like, share, subscribe and comment down below. Also press the notification bell so that you're notified with new of my videos. Also follow me on Instagram because I update everything about my videos over there. So yeah, thank you. Bye bye.